The town was small. Too small to be of any importance, yet large enough to cradle the misery of 600 restless souls. Its streets were narrow and cracked, the buildings weathered, their paint peeling like dead skin. Every morning, the same low mist hovered, suffocating the town beneath a blanket of grey. A sky so perpetually clouded that the sun was a distant rumour. Children played in the dirt, their laughter brittle, their futures measured in small failures and whispered cruelties. It was the kind of place where secrets gathered like dust, where the sound of your own footsteps echoed too loud on emptied sidewalks. And then, the carnival came. They arrived just as the fog lifted for a moment. A procession of rickety trucks and trailers, their colours faded, their tyres coated in dust from miles travelled on forgotten highways. The adults moved with an unnatural grace, speaking in low murmurs that trailed off when the townsfolk drew near. Their faces were pale and drawn, smiles tight and unsettling, as if they'd carried knowledge no one else should know. With them were the children, a ragged group, faces smudged with dirt and something harder to name, eyes bright but empty at once. These children did the chores, they worked the booths and rides, but when the carnival was closed, they were free to roam the town. From the first day, the other children began to throw stones. Sharp little missiles of spite and anger that thudded against backs and broke skin. They shouted cruel names about our town, mocking the cracked sidewalks and the sagging schoolhouse like it was all some kind of grand joke. Except for one. He never threw a stone. He never shouted. He simply watched. His dark eyes followed us with intensity that was neither curiosity nor disdain. Something colder, as if he were measuring us for something. I was 11 then, like the rest of them. I remember the first time I tried to speak to him. It was just after recess behind the schoolyard, where the shadows lingered longest. The other carnival children were gone, but he stayed, silent and alone, leaning against the rough wooden fence. "Why do you never join them?" I asked, voice trembling. He didn't answer at first. His eyes met mine, dark and unreadable. "They don't understand," he said finally, in a voice barely above a whisper. "Neither do you." "I want to be your friend," I said, the words catching in my throat. He looked away. A flicker of something like pain or warning passing across his face. "Be careful," he said. The days that followed were worse. My classmates caught wind of my attempts and turned on me with venomous glee. They shoved me in the hallways, called me names I can't forget, laughed when I stumbled or cried. But one afternoon, as the gang closed in, ready to deliver their usual torment, the boy stepped forward. Without a word, he positioned himself between me and them. His eyes flashed, not with kindness, but with something colder, sharper. "Leave him alone," he said. The bullies faltered as if struck by an invisible force and backed away. This was the first time I truly felt safe. Afterward, I asked him again, "Can I be your friend? Can you help me? Can I help you?" His eyes softened for a second, but quickly darkened again. "I can," he said. "But it's not what you think. It's not a game or a trick." "I don't care, please," I said. He hesitated. "You don't understand what you're asking." I needed to believe. For a week, curiosity had clawed at me. It was the final night of the carnival, and I just had to know. I followed from the edges of the carnival as dusk fell. The tents were casting long shadows beneath a bruised sky. The carnival was quiet now, the laughter and music replaced by an almost reverent stillness. He moved towards the largest tent, the one with the stripes faded and torn, where the other children and adults gathered. I crept closer, heart pounding. I needed to know. What was he hiding? I slipped through the crack in the canvas. Inside, the air was thick and suffocating, scented with sweat and decay. There, beneath the flickering lanterns, the impossible was happening. The children and adults, no longer separate, were melting together in a writhing mass of flesh and bone. Eyes blinked from places that defied anatomy. Limbs fused and reformed, bodies dissolving and reforming into grotesque shapes. The sound was wet, sucking gurgle, like a nightmare breathing. I should have run, but I was rooted in spot. One of the twisted forms, a malformed eye, fixed upon me. Tendrils, thin and glistening like muscle and bone, shot out at me. I looked down at my chest. The broken bone of a child's arm. Blood. Cold. I was dragged into the mass. Consumed. The next day, I woke in my bed. My heart was pounding, untouched, but forever changed. I had to know. The sun barely stirred behind the low-hanging clouds, and the town felt colder somehow. I carried the heavy weight of what I'd seen in the tent like a stone lodged in my chest. I couldn't tell if it was fear or something worse. The feeling that I'd stepped beyond the threshold of reality and seen something forbidden. At school, the stones came harder and faster. The laughter was crueler, the names sharper. The faces blurred into one another and the walls seemed to close in. But it didn't hurt. Not this time. As the final school bell rang, I knew what I had to do. I took all of my savings, my pocket money, and I bought a bus ticket. You see, the carnival had left and moved to the next town. I had to know. The bus wheezed to a stop in the neighbouring town. A place that looked no different from ours. Same cracked sidewalks, same low sky. I stepped down from the bus, my heart pounding, clutching my last coins in my pocket like a talisman. I could see the children gathering at the front of the carnival. The carnival children, the town's children. The stones came again, snapping through the air like small thunderclaps. The cruel taunts rang out. There he was, quiet, shy, eyes flickering with a strange light, standing apart from the chaos. But then my breath caught. There was another boy. A silent boy. He was smaller, nervous, his hands trembling as stones flew past him. I felt a chill run down my spine. They were everywhere. The carnival didn't just move from town to town. It spread like a contagion, spawning echoes of itself. Copies. Duplicates. I wanted to run, to scream, to wake up and shatter this nightmare. But the carnival had already consumed me. The carnival's dreadful possession would never end. Behind me, the children laughed. The stones flew. And somewhere, beneath the bruised sky, the carnival's tents rose again, waiting. The shadows lengthened, and the eyes watching from the dark multiplied.